she's cool as a cucumber, and you know, she's ready to take on her own empathy tent there in Greece. But I'm a little nervous, and what I was saying, you know, in a therapeutic situation, we have boundaries, and we have certain rules that create those boundaries. We know what to expect, but when you throw a tent up in the middle of you know,
a riot,
you know, a border rally, you know, there's going to be a lot of intense emotion, and you know, anything could happen. Now, Demetra thought, "Oh my God, what are you saying, Stefan? Are they going to start hitting each other?" Well, no, not necessarily, but there's an element of the unknown that kind of frightens me, and just kind of, you know, it gives me pause.
Well, that is okay. So yeah, I'm just writing that down because these are the kind of things that we want to gather. You know, it's the these insights. It's like, you know, it's not like you have to do the empathy tent, you know, whatever. It's just that there's a sense of activism. It can be doing, you know, empathy circles online. It can be doing mediation. It can be going, you know, full blast into the empathy tent. So I do hear there's some nervousness. There's like, what are the boundaries? You know, what are the elements of it? So those are all concerns, and those are all things we can explore during this, you know, training. It's like articulate those concerns, see what people are, you know, comfortable with, and even develop this baseline. You know, it's like this baseline of how people want to be involved. So it's great to share those. I just put a few things under the comments. So you can even add those concerns, you know, and that's helpful to know how do we engage others in this. So do you want to go, what?
Can I add something?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I think that before we start doing something, of course, you have many concerns and everything might go wrong, but I don't think that these concerns should stop us when we are serious about our undertaking and we want to have a good result. So I think that through trial and error, we can really we can come up with some rules, an etiquette that we're gonna follow. And I think that yes, I'm very cool, and because I believe that catastrophe or disaster is part of the plan. So when I expect it, I know that even when it happens, I'm gonna come up with the ways to deal with this, manage to improve the thing, so as next time I can have a better result. So I don't think that fear should stop us from doing anything really believing. And I'm telling you this also.
Nice.
Excuse me?
That's very nice.
Yeah,
I like your.
I mean, what about Columbus? What about Columbus when he discovered America? I mean, wasn't he afraid? Or, I mean, who is the one? I mean, brave is not the one who is fearless. Brave is the one who goes against his fear and says, okay, I believe in this expedition and I'm going to go for this no matter what. And I can tell you that I don't believe that in Greece you find the most open-minded people. And no, they're very open-minded. They're less open-minded, but we can just start with simple steps. And I really believe a lot in a good preparation. Before we do something, we should spend time on preparing things. Then we'll try it at a small scale. Then we'll try a little more. And so step by step, we can build it up. That is how I do things in my life.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm writing this down. Sorry about the typing sounds. So what I was getting there is fear should not stop us in taking this activism step. And that, like anything else, we start with some preparation, we have small steps, and through trial and error, we develop rules and guidelines for how to address that. And that's kind of how we can overcome, you know, anxieties and so forth, is through preparation and, you know, going into it slowly and with preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So we're writing this down because these are all lessons that we can share, with others too. So this is really great to hear the full scope, because we want to hear everyone, how everyone is, where everyone is. So Stefan, do you want to go through your steps, just quickly? So you say participate as a sample workshop, read materials, commit to 1 to 16 weeks. So you're going to continue. Design activity lessons, so you'd be willing to take on a lesson. Do you want to just go through your outline?
Design an activity lesson, design a lesson, design and facilitate an activity lesson, facilitate an empathy study group, help articulate the culture of empathy vision. I think we're already doing that. Write copy. Would be happy to, we're going to publish something or, participate in that. I would love to learn from you also about so Dimitri, while you were offline, I was singing your praises about your skill set and wondering how you developed it and all the technical savvy that you have. It's really impressive.
Okay, and I see, so lead, facilitate some study teams, and then you had the questions about the activism.
Yeah, I left that blank.
Yeah.
And the other piece, this was when we broke away from you. A comment I had was I had felt maybe that Dimitra thought, and this was my take on Dimitra, and I think she validated my understanding of, but it's more than just Dimitra. I mean, many people think this, that in a way, this reflective listening, it can also be maybe a little bit stilted, and like Dimitra always wants to. She feels it's more natural if I'm speaking for you, Dimitra, but she wants to ask more questions. Not just. She feels constrained by the reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate? Is that accurate, Dimitra, or am I saying that wrong?
No, of course.
I mean, I'm just what I heard. If I heard what?
After so many sessions, you know about me. Yeah, definitely, you're right. Yes, I would love to ask more things, but we'll have to just follow the steps as you mentioned.
Yeah. Well, we do want to surface those concerns, right? It's like the concern is, I feel this is stilted, I would like to ask questions. And those are kind of insights to build on, right? It's like, What is the response to that? First, we want to empathize with it and hear it. And then we want to address it because other people will have that same concern, right?
Yeah.
It comes up all the time. Like, I want to ask questions. For example, so, and then why are we doing the reflective listening, right? That's the question, because, we do want to just practice that one component to put our questions aside to just get really good at the listening and the reflection. And so those are the kind of things we need to, kind of address and articulate and be heard about. And I'm making notes, so all this is going to go into the documentation. We're going to build on all these concept experiences or ideas. So, Mimi, do you want to...
The other thing I just wanted to say, can I just say one last thing?
Sure.
I forgot where we left off with this, but I just want to emphasize, if you doubt, or if I doubted what this empathy thing can do, okay, and this has been a debate for the past 60 years. watch that Gloria tape.
Oh, yeah.
Watch that 1 hour interview of Carl Rogers interviewing Gloria. And it's very different from anything you've probably ever seen, because he doesn't ask questions. He doesn't ask what, why, when, where, because in his theory, he sees that as getting away from the person's reality from their point of view, and it was a mind twist for me initially, but when I saw it in real life, because you don't see this in real life, but watching an hour of that going on, and I would love to talk about that.
Yeah, we can bring that up, and anything you want to bring up, we can bring in the empathic listening. And I've seen it too, and it's you really get to see the contrast of how different styles work, as well as, I can't remember which chapter, one of the chapters is about asking questions coming up, and then the other one is not asking questions, but giving a reflection to go deeper. So, these are kind of things that do get addressed. There is this whole issue of questions as steering someone versus just reflecting, and then they steer their own direction. And so having that contrast, because in a sense, being so curious about asking questions is about you and not about the other person, right? We're trying to let the person be heard and seen. And when we want to ask questions, it's about our curiosity versus just being present with the others, and having that sense of contrast too. So,
Sure. I don't really think that you ask questions just because you are curious, but I think that you ask, sometimes of course you might be curious, but other times you just want to get the details so as to fully identify what the person said, because sometimes the speaker might have not given all the necessary details for any listener to fully understand what the person is referring to. And also imagine if the person if the L1 is not the same, like in my case, or when the cultural background differs so much, like in my case again. So I think that even when I speak with Greek people, we feel the need to ask questions, okay, depending on the situation, of course, because we want to be sure that we got it right, and so that's, be very connected to the person. So that was a small comment. And
let me kind of reflect that. So what you're saying is, when somebody's speaking and you're not clear about what they're saying, you want to be really clear about what they're saying. You want to do a good job of reflecting and understanding them. And that's where the questions comes, is so that you can understand clearly what it is that they're saying to you.
Definitely, because when the other person has, how can I say, that's idiomatic. I can't remember the word. You see, second language. You might have an accent, and the person might have not be sure about what the speaker has said. Or when we have a group of people who come from different countries and they speak English, for example, as a second language, you want to ask some questions. But okay, this is one thing, and I wanted to ask you, both of you, about what Stefan mentioned before. Is this about Carl Rogers? Is the video, or just how can I learn more about it?
So how do you find out about Carl Rogers' video? You can just do a search on Google.
It's on YouTube. It's
on
free.
YouTube, yeah. It's Gloria.
Oh, okay.
You just type in Gloria Carl Rogers. I think it'll come up. And
is this just another method, an alternative method?
It's the foundation of what we're doing.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Let me look it up too. Gloria Rogers, I think it comes
Gloria
up.
Tapes is what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, here's the link. I'll put it into our chat window. But yeah, it's in fact, Carl Rogers has a whole bunch of different videos that are really great to watch, of the sample of the empathic listening. So that could even be a lesson, I think, for us, is watch, 2 hours of him doing empathic listening. Then we have a session, an empathy circle session to discuss it. So,
yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's one thing. Well, I mean, I go back and forth about this again, but it's one thing to have a therapy session, or to make a few empathic comments, but to go from that to sending it, to some kind of activist culture. I mean, all these are very complex, heady things.
So you're just kind of like wondering, how do you go from sort of a therapeutic context to a cultural activism context, and how do you make that?
How does it translate?
Okay, well, great. So we can bring up, we're kind of running out of time for our empathy listening session here. So maybe we can, I'm feeling a little pressed, sorry, because I want to be sure we get that empathy listening in. Mimi, do you want to just go quickly through your list, and then we'll start with our listening?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I can start from the end. And
okay.
What I'm mainly interested in is to show how empathy can be part of second language teaching in a digital classroom, because this is what I do in my life, and this is why I am studying for the particular master's, and I decided to join you. So can we cultivate empathy in the digital classroom? Yes, we can, and this is what I do every day. So I could just show it, and okay, this is the one. And
okay.
at the top of my page, I can say that, okay, yes, I can participate as a sample workshop attendee and read materials, show up, and all this. I can commit to extending to a full book series of 16 weeks. I have this, yes. Oh, where is my X? I think I had it here. Yes, I have empathy skills and social media skills, right? I can design activity lesson. Yeah, I will be very grateful to do that. Help articulate the culture of empathy vision. Yes. Do web design. If you are referring to something like using the Wix platform, yes, I can, because I'm designing I have already designed my website for the purpose of my master, so I could say yes. And facilitate empathy training, yes, in both. And yes, facilitate empathy circles between people. I would love to do that, but I want to be a little more prepared. I don't like to do things when I'm not very sure. I'm absolutely sure that I can, everything is well organized. I pay a lot of attention to details. And yes, I would like to form an empathy tent later on. I mean, after our sessions.
Ready.
Excuse me? Sorry?
I said you're ready.
He's reflecting your readiness.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait for the moment when I'm fully ready, but I can just reach a good level and say, okay, I'm gonna start doing this in a small scale, and then we develop. Okay, Edwin, now you're anxious, and I feel your anxiety, and I just I can't calm down, because we're running out of time, right? I can feel it, and isn't it right?
Yeah, I'm fine. If everybody is fine with not so much time for the empathic listening, I'm fine. I feel some like, we had the empathy time, and I feel like I'm concerned about everyone feeling they have time for doing the empathic listening.
Okay.
That's my only concern. Otherwise, I think this is great. So. Okay,
fantastic. So I think I'm done.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so this is just a baseline. This is very helpful to know where everyone is. So thank you for that. And let's open it up then for the time. We have about 20 minutes of empathic listening. So, who would like to speak? Select who you'd like to speak to. It can be on the chapter or anything we've talked about. And maybe I should, does everybody remember the chapter? I should give a quick I had the
chapter 4 for tonight, for today.
yeah, and here let me show what we had, what it was.
Now, are these PowerPoints somewhere available already?
There's a link. There's a page. If you go to the chapters section, there's the PowerPoints are already embedded, and these are just the initial prototypes. I think we can keep refining these prototypes to make them look better and better. So this is like a quick prototype, and so we have chapter 4 summary, the attitude of empathic understanding. What most people really need is a good listening to. That starts with that quote. The summary that I got was empathy is not just a skill or technique, it is a mindset, a heart set. Assumptions behind empathic listening. It is valuable, creates better communication. Be willing to not be the center of attention, and differences are valuable. So that was the essence. And so who would like to start and select who you'd like to speak to, and we'll go from there. So it can be on the chapter or anything that's alive in you.
Okay, can I start?
Okay.
Okay, I can talk to you, Edwin.
All right.
I was delighted when I read this chapter tonight. Because I felt that the writer described empathy and compassion in a very detailed way, and he was up to the point, and right to the point. And what I would like to mention is that he's referring to the lack of self-centeredness, which I just find so much meaningful, because my concern is this. On the one hand, we try to develop a culture of empathy, but on the other, we have to keep an eye on the culture of selfishness. So if we try to build empathy without trying to eliminate our self-centeredness, then I think that it is as if we're trying to fill up with water a pot with a hollow at the bottom of it. So we have to check if there is any leak, first of all, and this leak is connected to our need to cultivate our selfishness, that, you know, I'm somebody and I want to demonstrate that I'm somebody because I have this profession, this status, I look this way or whatever. And when I do this, how empathetic can I be as a human being?
Okay, well, let me reflect that. So what I was hearing, you really appreciate this chapter because it was really getting into something that you find important. And what I was hearing is that we want to have this container of a culture of empathy and fill that up, but there could be a leak, and that self-centeredness is sort of like a leak. So if you keep pouring something in, it's going to pour out through self-centeredness, and that people are self-centered. Maybe they need to be feel like they're important and they matter, and that can be sort of a cause of that leak of, you know, trying to feel important.
Yeah, exactly. Because from a philosophical aspect, it seems that in the last 1-2 centuries, people started to think that they get value not from who they are, but from what they possess. And so they started trying to be more and more successful according to what the society defines as success. And so they say, it doesn't matter that much who I am, I mean, as a person, as long as I'm a very strong possessor. I have this car, I have this house, and this. So I think that when we try to cultivate empathy, we have to ask ourselves who we really are and how strongly connected is the way I define myself with my actions. I mean, am I a good person if I do good actions, or these are two separate things? I'm a good person even when I fail. I mean, I can have a positive impact, and I can accept the fact sometimes I might fail. So I think that empathy can be much more seriously cultivated when we realize that we don't need to be the center of the world.
Okay, so what I'm hearing there is that, as I understand, is that people think that they matter. The society tells people that they matter if they have a big car or have money and so forth. And so people strive for that, to matter and to have sort of, that people will pay attention to them. But what you're saying, I think, is that people matter because of what they do and who they are and what they feel, and who they are is mattering. So we should just see that what people just matter by who they are. They just, as a human being, you matter, and
yes,
have that awareness. Like, you matter because you're a human being, and everybody matters. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have a fancy car. You matter no matter what.
Yes, I mean, you matter no matter what. And I mean, it's okay for you to, I mean, if we accept and we cultivate, if we accept who we are and we cultivate modesty, that I don't want to shout who I am, because if I have a value, other people will see this and will appreciate it sooner or later, then I can be a more empathetic human being. I don't need to be the center of the world. I don't need this burden. I don't need, why should I be the center of the world? I mean, what's the purpose? I don't need it. This is just like a heavy bag on my shoulders. I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I get rid of that, I can be very connected with others, because I don't impose my ego in my relationships.
So the people who are just trying to be the center of attention and trying to impose themselves on everybody else and impose themselves, that it's, if they just let go of that, they can connect at a more human level and a real authentic level. The other doesn't really foster connection, and this really fosters connection of being who you are.
Yes, thank you. I'm fully heard.
And authentic, yeah, okay. Then speak to Stefan. So, I was feeling a little stressed in terms of time. I wanted to be sure we had time for doing empathic listening, and I hope, I was going to see Mimi, if we could skip to 10 minutes of freestyle discussion, just so we can have time for, so I feel better now that we don't, I wanted to be sure we have time for empathic listening, so I feel better now that we can go till another 20 minutes.
You're relieved.
Yeah.
You're relieved.
Yeah. I feel good about the baseline. We have a baseline where everyone is, and both of you want to do the full 16 weeks, and I'm excited about the activism component. Yeah, just everything. It was very nice to, a little sad that my connection broke and couldn't, but otherwise it helped. I feel like more clarity.
Dimitri and I had some private time.
Okay, so you were happy. So let's see, what was the other part? So the chapter is about the way of being, I think. The core is that the empathy is more than like a skill component, like you learn how to reflect back, and that's kind of it. That there's a deeper sense of who we are as a way of being, and that really resonates with me. And Carl Rogers, he talked about empathic and unappreciated way of being. So it's sort of that wholeness of how we are in the world. So that really resonates with me too. There's skill, but there's also that way of being, and the two of them go together.
At the time, I believe there was this idea of self-actualization, and that empathy allowed for this self-actualization, and then there's something called Maslow's pyramid.
Oh, are you reflecting me, or?
I'm sorry. I'm just interjecting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't quite feel heard here so far.
I'm sorry.
You get an F.
Let me restate that. Now I'm embarrassed.
That's fine. There's no problem. I'll just state it again. That's part of it. You know. So, the essence is this skill and way of being, and seeing those, and really the importance of developing that way of being. I think it resonates with me that the book addresses that.
Right. This way of being and this desire for well-being is an opportunity to self-actualize.
Yeah, I don't use the word self-actualize. I would say it's more that the importance of developing a way of being is kind of what the core of it is. Yeah.
You don't like that term self-actualize, but when I hear you say it, and it's not jiving with you.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds too technical to me.
Yeah. I think I use that lingo, but I like the way you put it. I like the raw element of just
a way of being. I think is
way of being.
Yeah, it's that way of being. I think is an important component, and that resonates with me. So if I just heard back, it's the way of being resonates with me, I think I'd feel heard.
So it creates this opportunity for way of being, and there was something.
And it resonates with me. It has that really means. Yeah, I think it has some meaning for me.
Mm-hmm.
So. If you just say it's that empathy, the way of being as a way of being is important to me.
I'm sorry, my.
Oh yeah, it's breaking up a little bit. I guess that was the last component, was just to hear that the way of being resonates with me, is important to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you just want to reflect that back, I think then.
Okay. A way of being is, well.
Yeah, that was it. Just reflect. Just if I could just hear that back, I'd feel complete. I think.
It's important to you. This way of being. I want to hear more about it.
Yeah. No, I feel heard. My time's up. So it's your turn. Thank you.
My turn.
It's.
We're still doing the reflect. We're in
the reflection. Yeah. Oh yeah. We went into the reflection mode, so we're trying to. So we have a couple more turns, I think, before our time is up here.
Okay. I'm still just oh, when you were off the line, when you were off the call, I was just wondering about Edwin's dedication and energy that you must have put into this thing. I was just telling Dimitra how I was just, it seemed like a full-time thing. It's just so impressive, and what you've done, and all the power you put in, the energy you put into it.
Are you speaking to me? Are you Demetra? Or maybe?
I didn't choose someone. I'm sorry, Edwin.
Okay. Well, what I'm hearing is you had talked about all the work and kind of dedication or power I put into this work, and I guess, I don't know if you're impressed or.
I'm impressed
by it, or.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there more?
And I'm excited to continue learning.
Mm-hmm. So there's a sense of excitement in terms of learning more.
Yeah, and seeing where it goes, seeing where this goes, and with my concerns still about how you take this to another level.
Mm-hmm. So you're really interested to see how this develops, but you also have concerns like, how do you take this to a different, more of like an activist or other level, like, or cultural level, or so you're just kind of like, you're just wondering, like sitting with the question of how do you do that? Yeah,
because it's not familiar to me. Or not that it's not possible, or that that's part of, well, I think I've grown to understand that that's important to you, and I want to see where that's taken you and where that's going to take us.
So you've seen that it's taking it out of the sort of the therapeutic world, maybe, and putting it into this social context, and you see that that's been important to me, and you're wondering, you know, how does that happen, and where's it going to go, and sort of you have maybe a curiosity and to see how this will all develop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there more, or do you feel?
No, that's good. I'm good. Okay. I'm fully heard.
Okay. Great. Then Mimi, I'll speak to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish we had more time. I feel a little pressed because I like to have more time for this empathic listening component. We did a lot of other work, so I feel a little sad that we don't have more time to do more empathic listening with everyone.
Okay, what I hear is that today you feel under pressure because the time was not enough for us to have multiple turns and just practice empathic listening even more.
Yeah, that part I feel bad about. I have a little stress about. I feel good that we heard everyone's idea of a culture of empathy, and we got a sense of how people you both want to be involved. So I feel very satisfied with those two elements. So, yeah.
Okay, so at the same time, you feel excited because you had a chance to discuss with us the ways we would like to be involved into this initiative, and that we discussed about the culture. We discussed the culture of empathy and how it can evolve from now on.
Yeah, and it's sort of a feeling of yay.
And it seems that you are absolutely excited about it.
Yeah, I feel heard. Thank you.
Thank you. So, okay, that's my turn now. Okay, I'm gonna talk to Stefan. Okay, when it comes to empathy, I have to say that I always remember one of your very first comments, Stefan. And your comment was that, I mean, I really feel, I always remember I might keep it in my heart that even you are, I mean, you were a complete stranger, you're less stranger now, but you open up your heart and you said things about your life and how you were raised and all this. I just highly appreciate these things. And you said that you had some experience that were not so empathic as a kid or teenager, but you were concerned about I mean, you mentioned that, yeah, some people are born with empathy, but what about, or they had empathy in their environment, but there are some others, and you were referring to yourself, didn't really have that, because we had discussion with Edwin, and I said that I was raised in an empathic environment. Edwin said the same, and you said, yes, but there are other people who were not raised under these conditions. What about them? And I always remember this, and I always keep it in my mind and my heart, because there are other people who are raised in a different way, and we should never forget that. And we should take into consideration that empathy can be cultivated and can be improved no matter what your background is.
So you appreciated some early comments, some personal things I shared, and you appreciate the life experience that you had of you feel like you had a nurturing, loving, empathic family, and it created a certain sense of self for you, but you acknowledge that maybe not everybody got that, not everybody gets that, but maybe you have hope that maybe it can maybe we can cultivate it for others, even if they haven't had the same experience as you, the same positive.
Right, and that empathy can be cultivated. It's like a muscle, and we can just practice it and practice. We can develop it, and somebody who develops it after he turns 20 or 30 might reach a very high level than I did, even though I was raised in an empathic environment.
So you have hope that it can be grown.
I don't have hope. I'm a realist and optimist. I very well know what I'm talking about, because I know that sometimes you have mentioned that I'm always happy and positive, which of course it is true. It is what you see, but people don't know. I mean, you don't know me. You had never seen me, but my life was nothing but easy. Nothing but easy.
So it's not a hope. It's not a hope. It's a what? It's a certainty.
It's my deep faith that people can make it sooner or later when they know what they're looking for. So I totally believe in that. You can make everybody, not you, I mean that everybody can make it if the person knows what he's looking for. I definitely believe, because miracles happen. If you believe. Otherwise, you might say, no, nothing can improve. So
you have an abiding faith that we can create a better world, a better self through empathy, and through when we know what we're looking for in others and what we want, we can create it.
Yes, because I believe that good is stronger than evil, and I definitely believe in that. I mean, when you are kind with people who don't treat you well, you can just smash them. When you are genuinely kind, you can just deactivate them, because you are.
Lack of empathy is evil.
I mean, and I'm not saying this, but I'm just talking in general, that when a warm heart can just melt any ice. This is what I'm saying. So I think that, yes, an empathic person has a warm heart, because in the book today, it says that, compassion and empathy are habits of the heart. So you cannot pretend that you have it. This is who you are. And I think that kindness, yes, can just, it's the strongest thing you can do, but not being naive.
It's not fake. It's not. No. It's not childish. It's authentic. It's real, and it can break down barriers.
Yes.
Open.
Thank you. I feel really hurt. Thank you, Stefan. I saw 11:59 here, and I think that Edwin will be very anxious. So I'm going to stop it here.
Yeah, it's. Well, I'm trying to keep us on track. Don't want to keep us over unless everyone wants to go over. I'm fine. So.
Well, I have to go.
Yeah, so you have to go. So we want to end with, you know, again, our mirrored empathy. Like, yeah, just like, how do you feel now since, oh, I think it's, oh, you're kind of taking on everybody else's. And then also I see this. Okay, Mimi, what's your emotion, or how do you feel?
I think I feel grateful. So that would be the thing that, I mean, I could just place my hand on my heart and say thank you very much, both of you. And I really feel very happy. I have very qualitative discussion with both of you. Thank you.
Well, I will add to that. That would put two hands on the heart for me. It's
deep. Deep. I don't know.
A little tapping, I see. Nice. Okay, I feel seen. Thank you very much. So we had set our intention to build a culture of empathy. So we want to take that intention and take it out with us during the rest of the day and the rest of the night. So from wherever we are in the world, we're going to blow our intention out into the world, taking a deep breath and blowing. And there we go.
Thank you, Edwin. Thank you, Denise. Good night.